Hey, welcome to Structure Fishing. I'm Jim Shell. I have a lake breakdown for you, Ouachita Lake in Arkansas. Let me give you a little back history here. I filmed this almost 4 years ago in March of 2018. Casey had an early spring break, and we spent, I think we ended up spending, I think just one day on Ouachita, maybe a day and a half. This was the first lake breakdown I ever did. I never released the video, but I go through uh, reading the maps, picking the structures, and in the video, I think I picked a total of 12 structures. And then after I got out there, I really focused on four spots that I thought were the best out of those 12. And they weren't too far away from each other. And we went down there and we went to these four spots. Now, we didn't catch anything. The weather, water conditions, the fish just weren't moving. But I know for a fact that the spots I picked were the best spots on the lake. How do I know that? Because two things: I studied the map, and it told me where to go. But when we were out there fishing, the first spot we went to, it was the first time I ever fished Ouachita Lake, and apparently I had no idea there were several striper guides on the lake. We've seen at least 4 or 5 different guide boats. There's probably more than that, but we saw at least 4 or 5. But the first structure we went to, I saw there were at least 2 or 3 guide boats fishing that structure, as well as a handful of other fishermen. I even told Casey, I'm like, wow, we did a good job in interpreting the map because there's structured guides all over this structure. Then we went to the second structure, and it was the same thing. It was loaded with another 2 or 3 guide boats and a handful of fishermen. And then we went to the third structure that I picked out, and it was the same thing. I told Casey, I'm like, these guides are going to think I'm following them because every structure I went to was loaded with guides. So I know for a fact that my interpretations were dead on because it's exactly where the guides were fishing. In all four of the structures we fished in, mostly three of the four, but it just reinforced how you need to do your homework ahead of time, do your map interpretations, and pick the best spot where you had the best chance to catch a fish. Now, I did not release this tape back in 2018 because my intentions back then was to have a part two to that showing you all the fish we caught. But it was just the weather and water conditions were such that we didn't catch any fish. But once again, I had no doubt we were fishing in the right place at the right time, in the right manner too, but the fish just weren't moving. It was pretty cool to go out there and see all the spots I picked were full of what were the same areas that the guys were fishing. It was pretty funny. But here's that video that I filmed almost 4 years ago, and this was the first lake breakdown, if you want to call it that I ever did. Um, yeah, so here you go. I hope you enjoy it. Any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. And welcome to Structure Fishing. I'm Jim Shell. In this video, you're going to go fishing with me. How we're going to do that is I'm going to show you what I do when I fish a new lake, and I love fishing new lakes. Once you understand the philosophy of structure fishing, all of Buck Perry's teachings, you feel at home in any lake you go to, and I get so excited fishing new lakes. I just love fishing new lakes. And like Buck says, the more different kind of lakes you fish, the better of a fisherman you're going to be. So I'm going to tell you what I do when I fish a new lake for the first time. Now, we live in a day of age where we've got so much information available to us that it wasn't like that 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago. Just more recently, in the last 10 years, we have a lot of HD contour maps of lakes, high definition maps. And in most cases, these high definition maps are 1 foot contours. And for the most part, they're pretty accurate. You can look at an HD map, study it, and know where the good structure situations are probably going to be in that lake, and you know where to spend all your time. It saves you a lot of time. You got that map. We're going to show you how to do this homework right now, and you go out there and you can mark up some structure situations where you're going to spend a lot of time fishing and working. All right, so let's take that trip. In actually just a little bit over a week and a half, Casey and I are going down to Hot Springs, Arkansas to visit my father, and we're going to do a lot of fishing down there. And you've got 3 major reservoirs down around the Hot Springs area. You got Lake Hamilton, which we fished a couple of times, and we've had good success. Our very first time out there catching some bass and walleyes, and also a striper. And there's Lake the Gray, which I've got a video on YouTube here from last Memorial Day. We fished it for the very first time, and we tied into the hybrid stripers big time. Watch that video if you haven't seen it. And that was our first time on that lake. And I studied the map, and I circled a couple of areas that should be very productive, and we found them to be very productive. Now I'm going to do the same thing today on Lake Ouachita. Took me quite a while to learn how to pronounce the lake because the spelling is that doesn't look like Ouachita, but it's pronounced Ouachita. I have never fished the lake yet, but we're going to fish it on this trip here. So most of the homework is going to be studying the contour maps. And hands down, the best way to study contour maps, most of you already know this, but in case you don't, is Navionics. Big fan of Navionics. And Garmin just recently purchased Navionics. I'm pretty excited about that because as many as you know, I love my Garmin unit. So I hope pretty soon here that Garmin is going to come out with an update soon, I hope, to make Navionic maps available on Garmin units. But anyway, you can see on my screen here, go to navionics.com, and this is what you're going to see here. Now to view all their maps, just go right over here and click on Chart Viewer, and this is going to pop up. I could spend hours and hours looking at all these different lakes. I just love this program. And Navionics puts this out for free. If you're interested in buying any kind of Navionic maps and you want to know what the map looks like, what you're going to get for your money, you can look at all the maps they have. And it's such a great tool for us as fishermen to look at. All right, so I am going to find Hot Springs, Arkansas here. Here we go. And within a half-hour drive of Hot Springs, Arkansas, which is right here, you got Lake Hamilton Reservoir. You got the Gray Lake down here. And right over here, you got Lake Ouachita. It's spelled Ouachita, and it's pronounced Ouachita. And it's a huge lake. It's a, I can't recall if it's a lowland 2 or 3 type reservoir, which means that the dam here, where the dam is at, it was built in like highland country, as you can see here. And then as you go further up the main lake, it's more spread out lowland type features here. Now, we're going to be fishing this lake. And this lake, real quickly, from what the research I've done on the internet, I found out that the lake has, it's a very well-known lake. It's one of the premier lakes in the United States for striped bass. It's got a great striped bass fishery. Many big fish are caught in this lake, and it's known throughout the country as being a premier striped bass fishery. So we're going to be targeting striped bass, and from what I can also tell, it looks like it probably has a decent population of walleyes, which I'm pretty excited about. And then you've got your other species too, like largemouth bass, spotted bass, and I think smallmouth bass. Not sure what the population is of any of these species. Like I said, I never fished this lake before, but it's a big lake here. It's 40,000 acres. Now, most people would think, oh my gosh, 40,000 acres, where do I start? You know, they get intimidated by the lake being so big. But as structure fishermen, we follow Buck Perry's guidelines. We feel at home on any body of water we fish. We're not intimidated by the size. We're, especially now we got this good map we can study here. All right, now it's spring. It's early season. We're going to fish the headwaters of the lake. The striped bass and walleyes are migratory fish, which means in the spring, late winter, early spring, they're going to make a spawning run up towards the headwaters of the lake. And so we want to fish the headwaters. Another benefit of fishing the headwaters is watercolor. As we said in the structure fishing workshop, watercolor can greatly make fishing tougher or a lot easier. And you're always going to find, or 95% of the time, you're always going to get better watercolor in the headwaters versus down by the dam. And if you even look at this lake on Google Earth, which I might do at the end here, look at it on Google Earth, and you can see down by the dam it looks pretty clear. And when you look at the headwaters on Google Earth, you can see that the watercolor is a lot darker here. So we've got two good things working for us here. We know we're gonna fish the headwaters because A, we're fishing migratory fish, striped bass and walleyes, and we know we're gonna have good watercolor. So when I'm looking at this lake, I just want to look at the headwaters here. Now let's take a look at Ouachita Lake here. It looks like we have three major streams, feeder creeks, that create this lake here. You got this one right over here. You got one in the middle here, and then you got one on the south end here. So let's just start with the first one here. Let me zoom in here. A little bit slow right here. You can see even up in the headwaters here, we've got fairly good depth here. It looks like our main channel is 35 feet. Let me say another thing here too. When you do fish the headwaters, especially in the case for largemouth bass, you want to try to make sure that you have at least 30 feet of water up in the headwaters, and then that should be a good area for largemouth bass as well too. All right, so let's take a look up in the headwaters here, this first branch here. All right, it's really shallow here. I mean, it sort of starts here. We've got 20 feet. You can see the main channel coming over here. Don't see anything that really, this has a potential area right here. I would maybe classify this as trolling water. Not too excited about that, although I might check that out, but let's go a little further down here. Channel swings on the left side of this, right side of the lake here. It comes down here. We got a couple little bays or another small little creek coming out over here. All right, well, right here, look at this here. You've got this headwater channel coming over here with another channel of this creek coming out over here, and you've got this bar right on the side here. This would be called and Todd Dixon's recent workshop video series, some of you may have watched. This is what we call a two-sided bar. You got deep water on two sides of this bar here. So this is an area that we would potentially want to check out here. Now, I want to make a copy of this map. Now, some of you might ask, well, how do you do that? In all the Windows programs, you've got this, just go into your programs here and just put in SNIP for snip, and it brings up the snipping tool. Click on the snipping tool, and you can see it up here. I'm just going to click New, and I put my cursor where I want to basically take a screenshot of this. I'm going to put it right over here. And then it's going to pop up there, and I can actually draw on here too. I'm just going to say right here, number 1. And then you got to save the picture. I'm going to save it on my desktop. A new folder. We're going to call it Ouachita, and just call it 1, I guess. We'll do that. Okay. Now we've got that saved. I'm just going to put this off on my other screen here for the time being. Now let's continue. So we've got one structure situation here we want to check out. Let's just zoom out a little bit. I mean, we're up in the headwaters here still. You got two feeder creeks that come together in this one headwater area here, so that should be a pretty good situation we want to check out there. So that's number 1. Let's see if we can find anything else here. Here's the main channel. You can sort of see it swings tight to this side over here, makes up against this shoreline over here. I don't see anything exciting as of yet. Come down over here. But you know what? Let me show you something else that this thing does that I forgot about here. Go over to menu right here, and you have map options. Click on that, and you can set this. When I'm fishing, to make the map a lot easier to read, right now it's set as a safety depth. It says 0 to 60 feet. What that's going to do is shade in the water so it's all blue right now, but I want to look at structures. Let me change this to say 20, 20 feet and hit the back over here. Now you can see what I just did over here. Let me click on this again, get rid of the menu here. All right, now that just changed it so anything up to 20 feet gets shaded blue. It's a little bit easier to see the map now. And the structures, I want to try to find, it's going to help. The structures are going to stick out a little bit more over here. Now, this looks pretty interesting right here. This channel makes a turn over here. You can see these contour lines really bunch up here, indicating you got a really sharp break line here. And it looks like you got this bar, a shallower bar over here. And it's right off the main channel. Like I say, I want to find all the structures I'm looking for when I'm doing this. I want them to be connected to that main channel, that feeder creek channel. And this one is coming right off the main feeder creek channel. This looks like a pretty good structure situation. We're up in headwaters there. I like that. So I'm going to get my snipping tool out again and make that my map number 2 right there. And maybe I'm going to draw on this map here and put a little X right there so I know what I'm looking at. I'm going to call that number 2. Going to go ahead and save that. Okay, let me move that over to the side. All right, now let's continue on. Now we got 2 spots so far in this feeder creek channel. Come down over here. Let me zoom out and see where I'm at on the lake here. All right, I'm still in that up in the headwaters quite a bit here. Let's see what else I have over here. We've got our second spot right there. Looks like the creek channel. I don't see anything really too exciting coming over here. What I like, the kind of structures I like are a lot of people call them flats. They're really not a flat. It's just big. It's just a big bar. Some people will say, oh, they're catching them on the flats. Well, that flat is really just a big bar. And those are the structures that I really look for here. I don't see anything here. This is all up against the shoreline here. Really steep stuff. Nothing here. Boy, we're in the 60, 70 feet channel already here. All right, I don't see anything here. I do have a structure situation here, but it's a pretty small structure. I might fish that, but I wouldn't say that that's going to be one of my primary structures that I'm looking for here. Let me zoom out and get my bearings here. Okay, now we're we're still up in that one big feeder creek here. I mean the headwaters here still. There's another side channel comes in over here. Let's take a look and see what we got here. We got plenty of depth in this side channel. We're 30 feet here. 30 feet here. I mean, we got little short bars here, but I like looking, not kind of structures I'm looking for. There's a bar over here. I mean, this might be worth checking out for bass. This area right here. You get a nice bar here. You get a nice bar here, but yeah, I don't know. You know what? It might be worth checking out. You know, actually, I think I'll gonna add that to my list of spots to check out. So I'm gonna take a picture of that. Save that as my third map here. All right, let's continue down. You know, here's a bar. 11 looks like it breaks in around 12 feet. That could be something to check out there. Let's look over here. We got another situation over here. Looks like the main channel comes in right over here, and it really breaks fast over here. and it's pretty close to this bar here. Although here's the main channel. This is coming right off the main channel. Like I say, I like finding structures where it's right on the main channel as well. I've got a bar here. You know what? I like that. I'm going to make myself a map of that. Now we're up to number 4 spots already. Okay, let's continue looking at this map here. You got a couple of fingers here, some deeper fingers here, about 20 feet. That's looking pretty good. I actually like this spot. I think that's got a lot of potential. All right, let's come down here. We just got a lot of really steep, short shoreline bars. Nothing really big here. Boy, now we really got deep here. All of a sudden, main channel here is 90 feet already. All right, all right, so we got 4 spots to look at in this feeder creek. Now let's take a look at this one here. This was more of a major feeder creek, so I got a feeling this may be the feeder creek arm that I want to spend more time in too. Let's see here. Our main channel depth there is right around here. It is showing around 30, maybe 40 feet here. All right, it's just looks like it's just a gradual flat here, gradual slope indicating. Now, once again, let me tell you something real quick here too. When we're talking about flats, a lot of people think flat horizontal, but a flat could be at any angle as well. You could be on a 45-degree angle, and there's no break line there. It just runs straight, and this is what this is indicating. This is almost like a 45-degree angle, but it's a flat here. You don't have anything over there. All right, let's get over here. We got a bridge area here, a little neck down here. Might have some current here. You know, this is always want to maybe check out what you have at a bridge here. Let's keep on going down here. Looks like we got a submerged roadbed right over here, crossing the lake. Yeah, you got a little feeder cut coming over here. Looks like there may be a boathouse here, probably some kind of marina over here. Little bar coming over here. May want to check that thing out, but let me just keep on looking over here. All right, we're channel here is around 30 feet. Our main channel comes out over here, and you have another little channel coming out of a bay over here. You've got this bar over here that's, like I say, some people would call this a flat, but it's really just a big wide bar. I sort of like that. You got a main channel here. You got a side feeder creek channel here. This definitely looks like a structure I want to check out. Let me copy that over. Okay, we're in a new feeder creek, so I'm going to save this as maybe 2-1 for the other feeder creek arm here. All right, let's continue looking down the channel here. Channel goes right up against over here. You know, I think this is a really big flat along here too. It's really close to this one. I think I would check this out by trolling as well too, see if there's any fish present on there. Let me go down over here. Looks like the channel makes a little turn here. Really don't see anything. He comes up against the shoreline pretty hard over here and turns out. Now we're 40, 45 feet deep for that channel here now. Turns again over here. A lot of steep structures here, but I like looking for some wide, shallower bars here. I don't see any as of yet. Here's the main, like I'm just following the feeder creek channel here. Now it comes over close to shore here again, and it turns, goes out. Nothing really looks interesting. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's a lot of spots I'm passing up. You know, so some of these smaller structures could be productive, but I'm looking for the bigger structures that are probably going to have the larger schools on them as well. Channel turns really sharp over here. A lot of steep stuff over here. Stuff here is really too deep. I don't see anything exciting here yet. Let's keep on going down this feeder creek here. Nothing over here. Looks like you've got something over here, but let me zoom out and see where I'm at on this lake here. Yeah, I'm still coming out of the headwaters here. Looks like the main channel is right here, goes out. You know, it's a small bar. I like to usually find something bigger, but I think I'm going to add that as worth checking out here. So let's save that. We're going to call it 2-2, second feeder creek. All right, let's continue looking over here. Let me zoom out a little bit over here. It looks like the main channel is, it looks like there's a couple of channels here, and this is probably the main channel over here. Comes out, turns over here. Boy, look at this here. You got a really good bar coming out of this feeder creek over here. A side feeder creek hitting this feeder creek. You got this big bar over here. It looks like it's 20 feet on top. You got a good 20-foot break line, big white flat here. This looks pretty good. And then you have a hump at the end of it over here too. This looks very promising. This whole area here. Boy, the channel comes in right over here. The fish have immediate access to this hump. And you got a long bar with looks like the point over here is a hump. Big flat over here. Let me make a capture this one over here. Well, looks like we got some stuff over here too, but let me save this. All right, we are 2-3. All right. Well, just down from here, you got this feeder creek. The main channel's down here. You got the feeder creek channel coming out over here with this area over here. It's in very close proximity to this. Actually, I'll just gonna delete that other map and capture this area, so I'm capturing both areas here. So I've got two structure situations, a bar on each side of this feeder creek channel here. I'm going to check those both out. So let me save that. I'm just going to replace it here. Call this 2-3 again. Okay. Now let's keep on looking here. Yeah, this is really deep stuff over here. And we're all right. Now I'm back coming out of the headwaters here. So let me go into the third arm over here of the headwaters here. The last one here, and let's see what I got over here. We've got about 23 feet in the main channel here, 24 coming out here. I've got some submerged road beds crossing the main channel here. Anytime you see a road bed indicated on the map, these high definition maps may not pick it up here, but you could have some very good break lines on this road bed, and it could be a very good structure situation. So I may want to check that out over here. Yeah, I think I will check that out. So let me grab a picture of this. All right, we're going to save this, and this is the third feeder creek arm, so I'm going to call this 3-1. All right, let's continue. Follow the main, this feeder creek channel as we come out over here. Now it's about 30 feet deep. Got a little hump over here, but doesn't look like a very big predominant structure. Let me keep on looking. Main channel comes up here. Just looking to see where I'm at over here. Yeah, this is just a deep flat over here. Main channel turns over here, turns again. Let's see what we got going on over here. A little deep bar over there. You know, it's probably worth checking out. But let me keep on looking. Looks like you got a lot of boat docks and marinas over here. You got a shallow bar comes out over here. And it looks like that's about a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 foot contour line. Little finger coming over the side here. Not sure how, not a very big structure. Speaking of that, something else I want to show you here. You see this little symbol here that's for measuring tool. Click on that. You can see it pops up over here. And it's these red marker and this purple one, and it tells me it's a distance of 881 feet between these two. So if I want to measure this, I can just grab this and drag it around and put this point here, put this one, say, over here, and that bar is approximately 400 feet wide, which is about 120 yards or so. Yeah, that might be pretty decent size. So let me snap a picture of that. Something I want to definitely check out and fish. All right. We're going to call this 3-2. All right, let's continue looking down this feeder creek, or the headwater here. There's another stream coming out over here. Looks like it's all pretty steep stuff over there. Pretty steep stuff over there. Wow, look at this thing over here. Let's see, what does this channel do over here now? Looks like the feeder creek channel is sort of looks like it's spread out over here, but it looks like it comes over here and turns. But you've got this very, very long bar off this point over here. Look how long this thing goes out into the lake here. Let's measure this and just get a look here. This thing is pretty long here. This thing is, boy, it's almost half a mile. That's a big structure. It tops off at right here. It goes all the way to 8 feet. A little deeper over here, 16 feet. Looks like I got a drop off. Looks like it's ridge-like at the end over here. Very long structure. Immediate access to deep water, especially on this side. This definitely looks like something I definitely want to check out over here. So I'm going to grab myself a picture of that. All right, we're going to call that 3-3. All right, let's continue on. Let me zoom out a little bit, see where I'm at. All right, I'm almost at the end. I'm almost to the point where these streams all connected to the main channel here. Some more boat docks. All right, that's about it. wire. This looks pretty interesting over here too. I've got a big bar out, comes over here. It's got a little bit of a hump at the end. It goes right into the main channel. This area here, this whole area here would probably be good for largemouth bass as well. That looks pretty interesting now. I think I'm going to grab a picture of this. I definitely want to look at that a little bit more. All right, this is going to be 3-4. All right, let's continue looking around. Boy, you got a side feeder cut coming over here, hitting the main channel. You got this very long bar coming out over here, a little inside turn pocket. Yeah, this might be worth checking out too. Wait, before I snap a picture of that, look at this over here. I've got a bar over here. This is 47 feet. Comes up to 29 feet. Looks like the crown of a hump over here, and then it's connected to this other hump that crowns out at about 16 feet over here. That's probably worth checking out, but I'm getting close to the main lake here now, and I want to stay concentrated in the headwaters, so that might be a good area to check out, but I want to try to limit most of my fishing up in the headwaters of each 3 of these branches here. So I'm going to stop looking at that lake right now. Let's take a look and see what we have here now. Okay, let's take a look at the maps we have. So we looked at the headwaters. We found on this lake we had 3 different branches of the headwaters here. And we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and about 12 structure situations we can look at here. Let's just recap them all. Here's one we found, and once again, I'm looking for structure situations where these structures have immediate access to the main channel up in the headwaters here. And this one over here has a big bar. It's up way up in the headwaters here, and like I say, we'll be fishing down there the end of March. I think March 29th to April 1st, something like that. And I think the further back up the headwaters, the more fish we're going to find. So this is the one that's furthest back up in the headwaters. Definitely going to spend some time checking out this one. All right, let's take a look at the next one. It's a little bit further down from the first one we looked at. It looks okay. If it's at normal pool, I did check on the internet, and this thing I think was about 2 or 3 feet over normal pool. May come down, but we're sort of close to normal pool. But this may be a little bit too deep of a structure. I may want something a little shallower, so I'll check this out. I'm not too excited about it. I mean, if I find some fish on it, I'll get excited about it, but I like the first spot better so far. This spot looks like it's got a lot of potential. You got this feeder creek here and another side channel on this side here. You got this big bar. Like I say, a lot of people call this a flat, but it's a bar, and I found out in the past that walleyes and hybrid bass and striped bass sort of like these big, wide structures. So when they do move up on them and get active, a lot of times they like to move across the bar here. I like this spot here. I think I'm going to definitely spend some time checking this one out. I think this is a good one to look at as well. Our next spot here. It's worth checking out. I think it's not a very big structure. I'm not super excited about it. If it's on my way to the next spot, I'll put the lures down there and see if I can make a couple of drone passes, see what it looks like. All right, this is another spot here. Looks like we got a good situation here and over here. Feeder creeks. I mean, we might find some largemouth bass up in these areas here too. This is another good structure we'll definitely look at. Same thing over here. The submerged roadbed area. This is up in the headwaters of the third creek, third arm on this lake. So I'll give that a look at too. I'll give this one a look. It's got a pretty good sized bar coming off of it. This is that really long one. Looks very promising. It's closer to the main lake, but I would check this out. And we got another structure situation here. If I try fishes for some bass, I think this is a really good bass structure here too. You know, you got a lot of good breaks coming out of the main channel in this feeder creek in this little cove here. That looks like a potentially good structure for some largemouth bass as well too. We'll give that a look at as well. All right, so we got a lot of good spots here. So we got about 11, 12 spots that we're going to check out. Let's go back to our Navionics map here. All right, so we got this whole lake, I said, is about 40,000 acres. The headwaters portion of that, I'm guessing, is maybe 20% of that lake, so it's about 8,000 acres that we just looked at over here. And out of that 8,000 acres, we've got about 11, 12 spots we're going to check out. So we will see everybody. We're going to continue this when we get out to the lake on the water.